and welcome to another fun-filled week of Intro to Technology at Community Collaborative Charter School. I'm your host, Mrs. Bluff, and this is Semester 1, Week 5. Well, I realize that this class overall is kind of a boring topic. My goal with this class is to make it as painless as possible while still making sure you learn how to do these important computer skills. I know I tend to talk fast, so if anytime you need to repeat any of this stuff, just pause or skip your video backwards. That's the nice thing about these videos. Unlike sitting in class at school, you can hit stop when you don't want to listen to me anymore. Okay, before we get started on this week's lesson, let's review some skills from last week. The first thing that we need to look at is keyboard shortcut. A keyboard shortcut keyboard shortcuts, I should say, are combinations of two or more keys that you can use to perform a task that would typically require a mouse or other pointing device. So, some common keyboard shortcuts that basically keyboard shortcuts are to speed things up for you, and really you want to get in the habit of using them because the more you can stay on your keyboard and not have to go back and forth between your keyboard and the mouse, the faster of a typer you're going to be and the more efficient. So let's look at some common keyboard shortcuts. One of the most common keyboard shortcuts is Control B. What you do is you hold down the Control, hit B, and it makes stuff bold. Oops, I left out a word. Alright, next keyboard shortcut that's common is going to be Control I. Control I is going to make text in italics. That's when it's all slanty, like this. Another common keyboard shortcut, Control U. It's going to make things underline, just like this. Also, as I'm doing this, watch up here in the corner. As I hit Control U on my keyboard, watch that key. See how it lights up? That's because I'm underlining. That's also the underline key. If I were to bold it, Control B, see how that lights up? Now it's bold. So it's the same as up here, but it's a lot faster than having to stop and go click this stuff. Alright, another keyboard shortcut that it's nice to have. We're going to go with, actually, I'll show you this one. Control A highlights everything that's on the page all at once. So I just did that. So the next keyboard shortcut, Control C. Do you remember C, copy? That one copies. So I just copied everything that's up here, and now paste. Control V is going to paste whatever it was that you just copied. Say you wanted to move something with and just take it out without copying it, you do Control X. Let's cut, and then you can Control V again to paste it somewhere else. Next shortcut I should show you, again also on last week's, is probably, I would say, the most important computer shortcut of any of all of the computer shortcuts, and that is going to be Control Z. And Control Z undoes what you just did. So say you decide that you didn't want to move those words from here to here, so you would hit Control Z twice. Once is going to, oopsie, messing this up. Wow, bluff. Try this again. Okay, so you have it down here because you pasted it. Control V, you put that down there. You would go Control Z once, deletes it, and then controls it, undoes the first thing, it undoes the paste, and then again it undoes the cut. And you can see that it's right here. So Control Z, don't forget that. To redo something you just undid, you'll hit Control Y. So if I hit Control Y, this is probably going to disappear, and if I hit Control Y again, hopefully it's going to go back down here. Let's see. Okay, it disappears, and now it's probably going to end up back down there where we put it before. So that's Control Y. I don't use that as much. I use Control Z a lot. Okay, another keyboard short you're going to use, and again, watch these buttons up here. See how this is highlighted right there? These are the alignment buttons. So the first thing I want to show you, again, we learned this last week, Control R. It's going to, R is for right, it's going to right align it. That puts it all there. So you can see it highlighted that, puts it all to the right. Next one, Control E for center, not C, because remember C is copy. So Control E for center, puts the text in the center like this. And then last but not least, Control L is going to put it back to the left like we had it originally. Let's see, I already did Control A, which highlights everything on a page. And so let's look at the very last one. This is one of my favorite ones, not in just in Microsoft Word, but on websites as well. Control F is going to bring up a box to ask you to find something in the page. Obviously, this isn't very long. There's not much that we want to read, but say you've got like a 3 or 5 page Word document or a really long website and you're trying to find one thing you want to look for, you'll just Control F, bring this up, and you'll start typing. So if I wanted to find, let's say, the word of, see, it's going to highlight where of is in there. I can type in other, and it's going to highlight where other is. Kind of makes sense? So again, Control F makes that pop up, and if you hit Control, to close that, click that to close it. Control F, find. That's what it stands for. F, find, F, find. It's a very important one to know. All right, so now that we're done reviewing, let's look at some important things in Microsoft Word before we get into what we need for this week. First, take a look at this big bar at the top of the screen up here. This is called the ribbon. On the ribbon, you've got some different tabs. You may have more tabs than this, but here are the most common basic ones. The first one is Home. The second one is Insert. Third one is Page Layout. Fourth one is View. There's File over there, but I guess let's start with the File tab. The File tab has some of the basic stuff that you might need to do. Save, open, close, information about your file right here. Making a new file, what are your recent files, print a file, save and send a file. It's got a help button and it's got some options. Okay, for actually working in the document, you've got the Home tab right here. So the Home tab has the most common formatting buttons you're probably going to use. So you've got stuff like copy, cut, and paste. This is cut, it's copy. So if you hold the mouse over it, it's actually going to show you what it is right there. Cut, copy, and then you can see this one's paste, and it's actually got some different types of options on there. Over here, you've got some different options to change how your text looks. So you've got the type of font right here. I'm probably going to have a lot more fonts than you do. You've got the font size. Do you want your words bigger or smaller? You've got bold, italics, underline. You've got, you can change the text shadow and outline. You can change if it's highlighted or not, and you can change the text color. Those are all right here. There's some other buttons you can play with those, but these are the most common ones. You can change the text alignment like we talked about. Bullets, numbering, we're going to talk about that a little later this week, today. Indenting, alphabetizing, and then some different, if you hold the mouse over it, you can see how it changes that. See down here? Watch this. Hold the mouse over that, now it's blue, now it's moving around, now it's even larger, and it's underlined. Those are different, what are called styles, and you can set up different styles how you want them. So, kind of fun. Okay, the Insert tab, next one over, lets you insert different things into your document, such as tables, pictures, and clip art, which we're using this week, shapes, hyperlinks, headers, footers, which you had to do last week. Remember, you had to put a header and a footer in, a text box, and just also word art, some other little doodads. Next tab over is going to be the Page Layout tab. Page Layout tab contains buttons that change the margins of your page, the orientation of your document. You can add columns, and it's got a whole bunch of different options here on spacing that you can use. Do you want a single space it, double space it, indent it, before and after? Okay, single space, double space, sorry, but you can do spacing before and after paragraphs and indent how you want it to look. And finally, the View tab contains buttons that let you choose how you see your document on the screen. So clicking on some of these gives you print layout, like you might see it more like if you're going to print it out. What's your page look like? Full screen layout. Oop, I just did that. Let's go back there. There we go. Close button. Web layout, outline, draft. You can turn the ruler off and on. Remember there's the ruler right here? See, now the ruler's back, so you can turn that off and on. That might be something you use a lot. You can show you want 1 page or 2 pages. Well, I've only got 1 page in this document, so you're only going to see 1 page. But if you have more than 1 page, you would see that. You can do a new window. You can have a couple windows side by side. All sorts of fun little things. The ones that I just went over, I know I did it very quickly. Those are the most important commands, the most common commands, I would say, but there's definitely a lot of other good stuff on there. Finally, aside from the ribbon up here, many of these options you can do via keyboard shortcuts, like we already talked about, or you can right-click with the right mouse button anywhere on the page. And see, when you right-click with the right mouse button, it's going to bring up, again, some of the most common shortcuts that people use. And you can go ahead and change fonts from there. You can change bullets and numbering and indenting. Paragraph helps you change, gives you the option to change the spacing. So that's going to be things that you might use as well. I like the right-click menu because it's a pretty convenient way to get to some of those features. So let's start with the things you're going to need to be able to do for this week's lesson. Thing 1. Okay, the first thing you'll need to be able to do is change the page's orientation. The orientation is the way the page is turned. There are 2 types of page orientation, portrait and landscape. Portrait is when the long side of the paper goes top to bottom, like this, and landscape is when the long side of the paper goes side to side. So how do we change the page's orientation? Let's take a look at the tabs to see where that command might be. First, look at the Home tab. The Home tab has all of your formatting options to change how the words on the page look, the font, font size, font color, etc. Does this seem like a good tab to change the page's orientation? Maybe not. Let's keep looking. The next tab is the Insert tab. When you insert something, you're putting it in something else, right? If you look at the Insert tab, there are options to insert a table, picture, hyperlink, page number, etc. Does this look like a good place to change the page's orientation? Probably not. Let's keep looking. The next tab is the Page Layout tab. Before we even click on it, does it sound like it would be the right tab? If you said yes, pat yourself on the head. The Page Layout tab is where you can change how the page itself looks. You can change things like the page's margins, the page's orientation, page's color, the page's borders, the page's spacing, and whether or not the page has columns on it. Now that I've told you this is the right tab, see if you can find the orientation button. Yes, I want you to look for it. I'll sit here and wait. All right, did you find it? It's up here on the top left next to the margins button. When you click on it, you can see how it gives you 2 options, portrait and landscape. When you click on the button, you can see how it changes how your page looks, and it's also going to affect how your page prints out. So this is landscape, portrait, landscape, portrait. Okay, exciting stuff, right? All right, second thing. The next thing you need to know how to do for this week's assignment is how to create and change a page border. Again, I want you to look at all the tabs to try and figure out which tab this would be in. Would it be in the Home tab with all the text formatting buttons? Probably not. Okay, what about the Insert tab where you put things in? Maybe, maybe not. Let's keep looking. Oh yeah, the Page Layout tab. Remember, the page layout options change how the page looks. By adding a border, you're changing how the page looks. If you click on the Page Borders button, you'll see a box pop up. On the left and middle parts of this box are some different options you'll see that show over here in the preview window. See how it says preview? You can change what the line looks like. You can do different effects right here. You can scroll down here, have different types of lines. You can change the line's color. You can change how wide the line is, or you can even add art to your line if you really want to. And that gives you a border on your page. Again, remember, Control Z will undo the last thing you did. The next thing, the third thing, you need to insert a clip art and change text wrapping of an image. What does that mean? Okay, so say we want to put a picture right here, right before where it says keyboard shortcuts the first time. So again, look at our tabs. Are we going to go to the home tab with all the text formatting stuff? Probably not. We want to insert a clip art. We're probably going to go to the insert tab. Good. All right. So you're going to click here where it says clip art. You can also put in a picture, but we're just going to go with clip art for today. And it's going to give you, hopefully, oh, there we go. It just took a minute to load. Whoops. It's going to give you a whole bunch of clip art. It might take a second, but you can kind of scroll through and see different stuff. I'm not really picky, whatever you want to add. So I don't know what we want to put in here. Let's put the little dude with the car. All right, so we would insert that, and then we want to change the text wrapping. What is the text wrapping? Well, if you notice, it kind of sticks him here at the very beginning of this. We might not want it stuck here at the beginning. If you're going to go up here to where it says wrap text, and that's in line with text. And if you scroll down, if you don't have to click on anything, just drag your mouse, you can see how each one of these changes it. So you can have it square, so it shows up around the text. You can have it tight, so it goes on either side of it. Square, tight, see the difference? Through, so the text kind of goes through it. You can have it top and bottom, which means the text goes above or below. Have it go behind the text, so the words go on top of the picture, in front of the text, so the picture goes on top of the words, and then there's some other options you can play with. So we'll just go with square for now. Also, over here you can click this button and you can close that little side window if you want more room. All right, that was the third thing there. The fourth thing, let's go ahead and get rid of that bad guy. All right, the fourth thing, we are going to create a bulleted list. And you've seen these before, you know what they look like. And basically it's this button up here in the home menu, in the home ribbon again, home tab. And it's the one with the little dots, and that's how you get the list with the little dots. So if you click on this, you can actually look and choose different kinds. You can get the dots, you can get check marks, arrows, boxes if you want to say check boxes or whatever. So what you'll do is you'll highlight the text that you want bulleted, and you'll just click one of those options. Let's just go with a plain old dot for right now. And it's going to give it what's called bullets, the dots. And again, you can pick, you can do define new bullets, and it will actually let you pick different symbols and things like that. So like say you wanted to make the hearts, the bullets right here, you could do that. And now you have, zoom in here. Text page. So I'm zooming in right now, so it's a little easier to see, but you can see that now the bullets are the dots. All right, so let's go. Our favorite key, Control Z, does undo, and that goes all the way back. Now that's how we saw it before. Okay, so that was customized. Actually, that was steps 4 and 5 because that was customizing a bulleted list as well. Okay, thing 6 is to create a numbered list, and it's kind of the same idea. We're back in the home tab where we've got all the text editing options. We'll highlight this again, and the one right next to the bullets is the numbers, and you can choose different styles, numbers, letters, blah blah blah. We're just gonna go with plain old numbers. That's pretty easy. Thing 6, oh, something I want to show you with the numbers. So you get to the end of a line, you hit enter, it's going to give you another number. If you hit tab, it's going to indent it kind of like an outline format so that you can add other levels onto it. So just to play with that a little bit if you want. Okay, something else you're going to do, let's go undo that all the way. The 7th thing is you need to increase and decrease the indent. So one of the things you can do is just this button up here. See if you hold the mouse over it, it says increase indent, and that will put it all the way over here. Or you can decrease indent and you'll bring it back. and that's just going to move things back and forth. And that actually works with numbers and bullets too. You can have it increase indent and see it's going to move it over. Now I want you to watch something. Look up here at the top. See these two little arrows right here? When I press the decrease indent button up here, watch the arrows move. See it move? Now it's over by the 1, and now it's over by the 1/2 inch mark, and now it's all the way over to the edge of the margin. So that shows you where it's moving on the page, but also you can drag these things right here. You can drag the bottom box right there, and that's going to change your indent too. We're not going to really play with that much this week, but you can. But that's going to move stuff around, and you can even move the little triangles, and that kind of messes stuff up a little bit. Anyway, let's go ahead and undo all of that. Undo, 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 undo. There we go. All right, that was the 7th thing. The 8th thing, it says set paragraph and line spacing. Okay, so easiest way to set the paragraph spacing, there's a couple ways you can do it. You can do it up here with the ribbon. See where it says paragraph right here, and you can change all of this stuff. And this changes the paragraph spacing options. So single space, you know, a lot of times you'll have teachers say, please double space your essay. That's this right here, 2.0. 2.5 space, 3.0, and that just moves stuff around. The other way you can see, and if you hold the mouse over, it's going to show it to you, but it doesn't actually change it until you click on it. So the other thing you can do is you can right click, and you can go to paragraph, and it has the same thing. It's got this little box right here that pops up. Now it says line spacing multiple, and it's at 1.15. So let's say we want to go double, and that puts it to double space. And the other thing I want to show you, so that was paragraph spacing. Line spacing is going to be before and after paragraph. So if we go back, right click again, go to the paragraph option, you can see where it says spacing after. That means it puts a space after every single paragraph every time you hit enter. So we can take that out, and it gets rid of that space in the middle. So remember how there was that space in the middle? Undo, redo. We just took the space out. Undo, space is there, redo, space is not. So let's put the space back. The other thing you can do is to get rid of that space is you can actually go to page layout up here and see how it says spacing after. That means after you hit enter, it's going to make 10-point spacing. So we can change that now to 0 right there. And the very last thing for today, the 9th thing that you're going to have to be able to do is show and hide what's called the character codes. It's basically so you can see what you've done here. So that's this button up here. It's under the Home tab again. It's this little, looks like a funky backwards P, and it's going to show what are called formatting symbols. So if you see, every time you have a space, the space becomes a dot. These don't print out. You don't see them like if you go to print the page out, you just see them when you're typing, and it helps you kind of see sometimes if you accidentally had an extra space in there, or you can't figure out why it's doing something. Maybe you hit return and you see that's what the little, this thing is. This stands for that you hit return. So it's just kind of one of those things. I don't use it a whole lot, but sometimes it can be helpful to figure out if something doesn't look right. You know, you can look at the paragraph characters. So we'll turn that off. I think that's about it for today. Hopefully that's going to get you started on your homework. Have fun.